August 23rd, 2015. Sounds like a pretty normal day like any other, doesn't it? Well, it probably was for the rest of the world. But for fans and backers of Formula One, August 23rd, 2015 was a nightmare that unfolded in broad daylight. Justin Wilson was one of the most skilled open-wheel racing drivers that the world was fortunate to witness. But for a driver as proficient as Wilson, how did it all go wrong? What exactly happened on that fateful day, almost 9 years ago now? Before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get this straight. All of us who have ever watched F1 have dreamt of driving one of those cars at least once in our lives. It's probably one of the world's most favorite escapades, and this is quite self-explanatory given the popularity of the sport. But for those in the tracks, danger always lurks in every corner, and when the thing that every onlooker fears the most happens, the world seems to come to a standstill. In this video, we recount the terrifying last minutes of British F1 racer Justin Wilson. A mishap at the Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, tragically claimed the life of Wilson. Even 9 years later, the wound is still fresh in the racing community. This is the story of Wilson's final race and the legacy that he left behind. Justin Wilson was born in Moorgate, South Yorkshire, on 31st July 1978. Wilson's first stint with cars began early on in his life. Wilson's father owned a solvents company, a petrol station, and raced Formula Ford cars from the 1960s until a major accident at Oulton Park in 1975 that eventually marked the end of his career. Interestingly, Wilson's younger brother, Stefan, is also a racing driver. The talent and passion for racing seems to have run in the family and inspired Wilson during his childhood. August 23, 2015 was a day like any other at the Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. The superspeedway located in the Pocono Mountains in Long Pond is also popularly called the Tricky Triangle. The drivers were preparing to take off, unaware of what was about to happen next. Among these drivers was Justin Wilson, a driver who stood tall and maneuvered the vehicle like no other. Justin Wilson was driving the number 25 car for Andretti Autosport. As the race began, Wilson effortlessly sped through the tri-oval circuit. It is said that the turns of the Pocono circuit are much more difficult than typical tracks across the country. But Wilson seemed to pull through almost flawlessly, and with his usual precision on the tracks. The race was an intense affair for the onlookers that day. It was a race between the most proficient drivers from around the world. And surely, it turns out to be a race that the world would remember for the decades to come. With just 21 laps remaining, the atmosphere was jittery and exciting, all at once. A feeling that every F1 fan knows all too well. The roar of the engines and the sound of the brakes were enough to drown out the rest of the world. In that moment, the race was all that mattered. Leading the race was Sage Karam, a young and ambitious driver. As Karam sped into Turn 1, his car suddenly lost traction. The rear tires of Karam's vehicle slip and his car begins to spin violently. Within seconds, Karam's car collides with the wall. The impact of the crash was so strong that pieces of the car exploded into the air. There was debris all over the track. The audience gasps and shudders, but little did they know that they were about to witness the most terrifying sight in their lives. The nose cone from Karam's car, a heavy piece from the unwieldy machine that had been built to withstand the worst, came astray on the track. This is when Justin Wilson's car, number 25, which was not too long behind Karam's car, approached in high speed. In a split second, the nose cone struck Wilson's helmet violently, and the impact was crippling. Wilson's head snapped back and caused him to lose consciousness almost immediately. His car uncontrollably veered to the left of the racetrack and tumbled onto the grass. The officials on the track reacted immediately. The race was flagged red and brought to a rapid halt. Emergency responders rushed to help Wilson out of his dilapidated car. Much to their horror, the frantic medical team realized that Wilson was unresponsive. The blunt force to Wilson's head had knocked him out of consciousness. The first responders acknowledged the magnitude of Wilson's injuries and decided that he required critical care. Wilson was carefully removed from the dilapidated car number 25 and placed on a stretcher. Within minutes, a medical helicopter had arrived, and Wilson was airlifted to Lehigh Valley Hospital in Allentown, Pennsylvania. News of the accident spread quickly to the rest of the world. The world came to a standstill for Wilson's family and friends, his fellow competitors, and for the thousands of fans who loved him dearly. Wilson's wife, Julia, and their 2 young daughters, Jane and Jessica, rushed to the hospital. With bated breath, the entire world desperately prayed for a miracle. But sadly, that miracle never came true. Despite the best efforts of doctors and other medical staff, Wilson's condition remained critical. One day later, on August 24, 2015, Justin Wilson was pronounced dead. He was 37 years old. The news of his demise sent shockwaves across the racing world. Tributes poured in for Wilson from all over the globe. Wilson was not only a renowned racer, but also a loving husband and a doting father to his 2 daughters. The world mourned as though they had lost a family member. Fortunately, Sage Karam, the driver whose car had triggered the fatal crash, escaped unhurt. Karam has since returned to F1 racing, but he says that the memory of the fateful crash continues to haunt him to this day. Wilson's death came as a harsh reminder of the dangers associated with adventure sports. Although the motorsport world has visibly advanced in safety measures over the years, Wilson's death was a gloomy reminder of how things could go wrong in seconds. In the aftermath of this tragedy, IndyCar and other motorsport organizations took efforts to ensure safety of drivers. Aeroscreen, a protective cockpit device designed to shield drivers from debris, was introduced into the cars. A titanium structure called Halo was also mounted above the cockpit of the cars. The Halo is specifically designed to deflect oncoming debris and absorb impact forces during a crash. Justin Wilson's legacy goes beyond his impactful life on the racing track. A lesser-known fact about Wilson is that he was an advocate for organ donation. Following his death, Wilson's organs were donated to 6 individuals in need. Wilson's selfless act of courage, even after he had departed from the world, is a testament of his kindness. Indeed, Wilson's legacy is not restricted to those who knew him, but to the hundreds of thousands of people who loved him from afar. After Wilson's passing, the motorsport community honored him in several ways. Memorials were held at racetracks around the world. Wilson's fellow drivers wore black armbands in his memory and observed moments of silence prior to a race. Additionally, a fund was also established to support Wilson's family. The Justin Wilson Memorial Auction was set up. It included items that were donated by drivers and teams from various racing series in an attempt to raise funds in Wilson's memory. We can certainly say that the motorsport world is still reeling from the shocking death of Justin Wilson. We hope that his family and friends find the strength to carry on with the memories that Wilson has fondly left them with. And for the motorsport world, Wilson's accident is a stirring reminder to make the track safer for drivers. Rest in peace, dear Justin Wilson. Share a tribute for Justin Wilson in the comments below. If you found this video informative, you know the drill. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more.